Good morning, Madam Minister, honorable guests. Let me do a disclaimer. This will not be a speech of Director of the NATO Center of Excellence for Strategic Communications. This will be rather some remarks in my capacity of the chairman of the Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group of the Internet Governance Forum. And before I start sharing some of my thoughts, let me ask you one question. How many of you know about existence and what it is, Internet Governance Forum? Okay, and how many of you have been in any of 9 previous editions? Okay, good. So then I have uncharted territory. I feel very relieved. So, of course, being invited to speak on the third day, it is very difficult to think that you will say something meaningful without repeating things that have been already said during the conference. Nevertheless, I will try. I will try to share some of my thoughts related to multilingualism on the internet, because in one way or another I have been in previous years, in my previous capacities associated with that problematic. During my work at UNESCO, we had the privilege of inviting Steve Crocker, one of the most probably top 20 engineers whom we can blame or thank for inventing of the internet. And we had a private session with him, and during that private session we asked him a question. So, knowing how internet evolved over past 20 years, we asked him, did you, when you invented that, when you worked on internet architecture, did you envisage that it would grow in a way and develop in a way as it does today? And his answer was, of course, everything goes according to our plan. So it was not really true. But what was true, we asked another question: what are 3 things, big things, that are coming? And he said, networks will sink in. In other words, what Eric Schmidt from Google said recently, which was very much reflected in Latvian media, that internet will cease to exist in near future. In other words, networks will become part of everything. Secondly, he said that is voice recognition, which poses another problem: how to make sure that declining writing skills of kids of today, because of increasing skills of typing, will be replaced by voice communication with computer. Question is what skills kids will have, and whether they will be ever able to write something in the future once they will start talking to computer. And the third thing he said, it will be machine translation. And when he said that, we were very cheerful, because UNESCO, one of the goals of UNESCO is to promote multilingualism, including in cyberspace. But he was speaking from his perspective, from perspective of English language, how to make sure that everybody who masters English know or can communicate with those who do not use English as a language. But when you think, when you inverse this paradigm, you get in a very difficult facing very difficult dilemma, because language or translation always is very costly. And watching this conference, deliberations of the conference of the first day online, I heard some of the questions which were raised by some of the panelists. Should Europe even consider or invest in, let's say, this multilingual internet? Because it costs a lot, and whether that is economically feasible. And I think that this is absolutely inappropriate question, because European Union and Europe in general is about social equality, it's about social inclusion. And if we think that internet is Some claim human right. I do not share that view, but certainly that is a universal service to everyone. Without investing in proper multilingual internet development, we're investing in, or we're promoting social exclusion, and we're promoting social injustice. Because we think that everybody masters Latin alphabet, but think even in this room, how many of you recognize every language in Cyrillic alphabet? Cyrillic is very much spread in Europe. I saw 2 hands, maybe many more. But then let's think how many of you recognize any of characters in Georgian alphabet. Georgia also is, so most probably you're Georgian. So that's why you know. No one. How many of us master Chinese characters? Okay. Because that's a big language, but still there are only 4 people in the room, and few of them might be Chinese origin. So, and you think that for instance, all Chinese master Latin alphabet? Certainly not. So as a result, we are condemned to invest in multilingualism, and it is our duty to do that. And this was my first message. So we need to invest in enabling environment that is conducive for industry to make sure that we have multilingual internet development and rapidly. To do so, of course, we need to understand what are these missing links and missing elements. And here I am coming to a second point, that is appropriate data collection, data analysis in that respect. If you probably know, there is a very interesting publication, annual publication, which is done by URID, EU registry, together with UNESCO and VeriSign, and that is World Report on IDN Uptake. This study was launched in 2012 when first report was published, and the idea behind this is to understand what are missing elements in order to ensure that IDNs, and specifically IDN CCTLDs, grow and gain force and popularity. And already the first report came to conclusion that there is a kind of vicious circle, that there is a low awareness of existence of this technological capability from one side. As a result, there is no demand. If there is no demand, there is no industry offer, and we're kind of in a vicious circle. And there is a need to break that circle. How that circle could be broken? It is by developing applications which would support IDNs. And last year, the IDN email protocol was adopted, and Google started to support IDN, fully IDN email. And I'm really curious to see the how that influenced the uptake of IDNs in general in current report. But looking in the 2014 report, I would like to share a few statistics that you think how far we are from optimum. So we have today, actually that was end of 2013, December 2013, when data was collected. We had 6 million IDN domain names, and only 2% of world's at that time 270 million domain names were IDNs. That's maybe it's bad news. The good news is that IDN market is growing, and the growth rate in the past 5 years have been 2015%. Today we have 26 IDN.IDN CCTLDs, which is maybe not big, but is growing. And this is development of past 4 or 5 years. We have also 50 ASCII TLDs that offer IDNs on secondary level, including .eu. So it is good development, but when we think that out of currently about 1,000 new GTLDs which are in the root, that we have only 2 IDN.IDN GTLDs, certainly that is not enough. 20 out of 1,000, really. So we have a long way to go, and what is important to have a gathering of experts like this in order to share these experiences and to exchange practices in order to promote IDNs and multilingualism on internet. And Internet Governance Forum is one of those platforms which was created by the decision of the World Summit on Information Society in 2005, where different stakeholders, governments, industry, private sector, academia, civil society, technical community come together and talk through different issues. Multilingualism is one of them, and local content is another one. And this is very important because you cannot make decisions if you are not fully aware of complexity of issues that you are addressing. And what is also important, that this platform, which has many copycats in a very positive sense, including one in Europe, Eurodig, is the place where this knowledge is shared, and this is very important in my view to continue doing. Internet Governance Forum this year will take place in Brazil in November, from 10 to 13 November, in the resort city João Pessoa, November Beach, Brazil. Think about it, please, come. Apart from that, we are expecting about 2,000 participants addressing different topics under one sort of overarching theme, evolution of internet governance, empowering sustainable development. We expect, as I mentioned, about 2,000 people present. 240 workshop proposals have been submitted so far, and we will have about 130 sessions in total throughout 4 days. So as you see, it is a very popular and a place where many organizations are interested to share their experiences. And for the multi-stakeholder advisory group, it is now a rather challenging task to select the best of 240 proposals for the meeting. So let me leave you with my thoughts, and thank you for listening, and I think that I have exhausted my 10 minutes of allocated time. So thank you very much.